So, at what point did you meet Jay Z?
I met Jay in wow. I want to say, well, I think it was in maybe say the mid '80s when I came home after '86. But we didn't ever come crossing paths until I think maybe in the game actually until I want to say maybe 80, maybe even say late '86, '87, around that time.
Now, would you say that you were Jay Z's OG?
I mean, I guess he would say that. You know, I don't think I would really have to say that. I'm sure he would say that. I had a conversation with Dame Dash one time when I came home after 2004, after I did all that time. And Dame actually, we actually had a real good conversation. That was my first time meeting Dame. And we sat down and spoke for about like 2.5 hours. And he was saying that how much he knew that Jay had idolized me and, you know, admired me back then, and said that the only people that Jay really had to talk about in relations to people of a certain status of the game was myself and Danny Diamonds, you know what I mean? That opposed to him having so many people being from Harlem, him and Biggs having so many people to talk about, you know, in their history. So, you know, yeah, I mean, that would kind of like be, I guess I want to say, kind of like factual to that point. If you really, you know, even if you just ask Jay, he probably would tell you that.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, because Jay had that one line. He said, "I never felt more alive than riding shotgun in Klein's Green 5."
Mm-hmm.
Talk about that lyric.
Yeah, I mean the lyric from the Black Album, "I never felt more alive riding shotgun in Klein's Green 5." That came from a case that he and I caught in '89. We was at a party. Mayhem just broke out crazy, and you know, we being from Brooklyn, being from New York, and not many people wasn't that many people with us. Probably maybe say a dozen of us, a little less than a dozen, going up against like maybe say 200 people in the party. And when it all broke down, we all went back to back and everything else. But long story short, you know, Jay and I wound up being the one to get caught. And we actually got locked up, charged with attempt murder to main, battery, assault, and possession of a deadly weapon. I wind up somewhat kind of convincing the guy that was pressing charges on us to drop the charges. But he was kind of like hard-pressed to saying that he was willing to drop the charges on one person, but he wasn't willing to drop the charges on both of us. So, you know, that's how that played out, where I got Jay off the case, and I was actually I actually took the case on and went to trial. Jay testified on my behalf on that, but if it had not been, you know, my wittiness of, you know, going to the guy and talking to him and, you know, working some things out, you know, off the record, or not even so much to say off the record though, but behind the scenes situation where we worked matters out where he didn't have to charge Jay. But if it so happened that he did, keep in mind, you know, a lot of people don't realize that Jay would have lost his moment of opportunity, because he and I both would have been sitting in there doing more than 10 years, because I went to trial facing 40 years, and out of 40 years in the state of Maryland, you do no less than 10.
Now, did Jay try to take the charge at this point, or was it worked out between y'all where you would take the charge?
Right there was spirit of the moment, though, so we went back and forth, and I had just, like I said previous, I had just got acquitted for the murder in '89, and this was only like, this incident right here was only 45 days after my acquittal. So Jay was like, you know, yo, Klein, you've been through a lot, you know what I mean? Like, you know, I don't really have no record, you know, I could take the weight for the case and things of that nature. And I kind of like thought of the man's career. So I said that, you know, potentially knowing that he had an opportunity, it was just when the time was going to be right for the opportunity to be there for him. I didn't want him to miss that opportunity. So I told him, nah, you know, we did what we had to do to get to this point, man. I'm going to take the weight of the case. I just want you to go home, straighten everything out, you know what I mean, and come back, you know, and bail me out. So that's what happened. So, you know, everything went well at that point. I got out, stayed home for like 18 months before I had to go to trial for the case. And then, you know, Jay testified on my behalf, and it worked out. You know, I wound up not facing 40 years, but I wound up blowing trial to 4 years, which was an assault.
Now, I had read somewhere that you had paid 50,000 to get Jay dropped from that case.
Yeah, I negotiated that with the guy that was the complainant for the charge. And again, like I said, everything went well behind the scenes with that, though. So it worked well.
So, this kind of, while you were in prison, you said that Jay had reached out to you like one time.
No, while I was in prison, I think the only time that I spoke to anybody was in 96, 97. That's when Jay came out when Ain't No Nigga video. And that's when they was in Virginia. And I had wind up getting a call. Well, actually not getting a call because I was locked up, though. But I wind up calling Tata. And while I was speaking to Tata, Tata was kind of like, telling me how much they missed me, how much it would have been a good thing, with me being there, you know what I mean, that, and a whole bunch of other good stuff that, I was appreciate hearing, and that was inspiring for me for where I was at. And, but at the same time, what they didn't realize was that although I was still locked up, I was still under investigation, Sometimes, you can't get rid of the old habits. And some of my old habits I still was doing while I was in jail. I was still calling shots from the inside. I was still making moves from the inside and things of that nature, though. So I was still under investigation while on the inside. And that being the case and being said, I was getting transferred one time and some guys was in the bullpen. And, the guys didn't know me. But they was actually talking about me, and they was talking about Jay and Tata, and the whole Brooklyn Association, big name in them, Biggie and them name came up and things like that. So, I let them continue speaking without knowing who I was, but I really wasn't comfortable with the conversation that they was having because they were just so freely talking about how Klein is hitting Jay and them from jail, Klein has got Biggie and them going and doing their thing from jail. And things like that, though. So, after the conversation, I had confronted them and asked them, did they know who I was? And dude was like, nah. And I told him I was Klein. So then, he went on with a 8,001 apologies and everything else, though. But when I realized that that was the word and that's how, people were speaking and thinking, when I got the opportunity to speak to Tata, Jay had came in from wherever he was at, and he had asked Tata who was on the phone. And one thing that I never wanted to do while I was in there was have a phone conversation with Jay. So when Jay was like, and I heard his excitement in his voice and everything else, but he was like, yo, let me speak to him. As soon as Jay took the phone from Tata and said hello, I hung up on him. And I never called him back again, And I felt like at some point I was going to explain to them why I did that. But to be honest with you, this is actually the first time that I've ever even said that for them to even know or to even hear that that's the case.
Why did you hang up on him?
Because I didn't want us to have a conversation on the phone because in the feds, your phone calls are recorded, automatically. I didn't want to even have any type of association with him in no kind of way to kind of put him in any type of bad situations or put him in any type of harm or anything of that nature. Conspiracy is the worst thing. That's like the worst charge they ever have because anything can be construed to be whatever they want it to be. So I just didn't want to put him in that type of situation where it affects the future that I saw him, that his prosperous future that I kind of saw him that was about to have at that point in time.